And let's start with where and when were you born?
Okay, I was born in Istanbul in June 94, 15, June 15.
I'm June 12th.
Ah, really? It's cool. Gemini.
Yes. And do you feel like a Gemini? Does it describe you?
Actually, yes. Actually, I would like to say that I don't believe this stuff. Yeah. But somehow, I mean, my horoscope makes me believe that I am, yeah. But I think it's a very misunderstood one. I mean, I think they get confused that you are like, yes, I'm a very indecisive person, but it's not about like, for example, I feel like always have to choose between stuff. That's why, I mean, there are other possibilities after them. That's why I take my considerations very seriously. I think that's why I'm, for example, very indecisive. I try to make the good choice. Yeah.
I don't feel indecisive at all because there's a lot more in a chart than just where the sun is.
Yeah.
Tell me about what schools you've gone to. Government schools, private schools?
In middle school, I was in private school. And after that, in high school, we have this exam to get in schools. And I was in an Anatolian school. It's a government school. It was a good one. And then after that, I went to Koç University. And it's a private school, but it's one of the top universities in Istanbul. So, yeah.
And I didn't hear what kind of high school it was.
It's called Anatolian High School. It's Beşiktaş Atatürk Anadolu Lisesi. It's like there are these private schools at top, and the others are like there are other groups as well. Anatolian High School is government schools, but they are like the top of the government schools, let's say. Yeah.
So they're college preparatory. They're the more academic high schools.
Yes, we can say that. I mean, of course. Anyways, yeah. Yes.
And are there other high schools that are more technical or geared for having a trade or being a blue-collar worker?
Yes, there are. Yes, düz liseler, technical high schools, there are, yes.
Right. And what was there about your family that encouraged you to be a good student and to go to university?
Oh, okay. Actually, I was raised as I was gonna be a scientist, in the sense that, like, in biology or like in that sense, I was good at, like, I was capable of doing stuff. I'm sorry, my cat just jumped, so sorry.
Oh.
So that's why I was studying chemistry and stuff. But actually, I was more of I was not that kind of a person, and throughout the years, okay, let me just rephrase this. Before university, I was studying sciences, but I entered as a chemical and biological engineer to university with scholarship, but I changed my major after 4 years to sociology, and also I made a minor and film and video track on film and video track, yes, and I made a minor with media and visual arts, and so my whole life changed so much after sociology, let's say, and I was just doing science part because I can, but they wanted us to, like, when I was in kindergarten, let's say, I knew what DNA means. Really, I knew. Before going to first grade, I knew how to read and write. So yeah, I learned these kind of technical stuff from them. But also, they always, me and my sister, they were there. Like, whatever we choose, they were there.
Mm-hmm.
That's
And is your sister younger or older?
younger, 1.5 years.
That's another pattern. Is a lot of times leaders are firstborn.
Really?
Yeah, like you and
Oh.
me. May I ask what kind of work your parents do?
Yes, my father is lawyer, and my mom has a kindergarten.
Aw, sweet.
Yeah, sweet.
And so, are you finished with university? Or are you still in?
No, I'm finished, but it was a long journey. 4 years plus 3 years sociology and MOVA. It was a long journey. Yeah.
And what are you doing now?
Actually, I'm doing many stuff, so be ready for a long answer.
Okay.
Now I'm doing, photography and documentaries and films in one hand. I'm keen on social anthropology and sociology. I mean, I take them as perspective. I try to take them as my perspective on whatever I do, let's say. I mean, this, be it photography or film or media, or sometimes it's my writings. I write about stuff too. It just, and also I'm an aerial acrobat. Do you know what is that?
There's like wires and you move around, you dance in the air?
Yes, that's it, yeah. Aerial silks, hoop and trapeze. I do that too. I do them too. And also, these seems like very different stuff, but I don't see it as such. I mean, I realized in life everything. I realized this in moment I switched to sociology. We are learned to look at life like everything is, you have to choose one thing, but it's not like that. I think they're all connecting together at the end, not at the end. They're always connected if you can see them. And so I'm going to give examples what I mean. I mean, I think throughout the conversation you will understand what I mean. At the end of the day, I would like to call myself a pointer. Yeah, in English, I think it's something like that. I like to point stuff out, but in a very creative way. Like, whatever I do some video art stuff as well. I mean, I do many things, but whatever I do, I try to point something out. I look at here, there's something here. Because I never like to make people suppressed or like, this is the true way to think about this stuff. This is it and this is that. No, I don't like that. So I say, here you go. There's something. Look at it. And I want to make it as much as creative. Yeah. Yes. That's why I turned into media and visual arts after sociology. Sociology is looking everything like the methods they use it was just not my style, let's say. It was too classical for me. Yeah.
Instead of pointer, could you say vanguard or catalyst or innovator? Does it have that kind of connotation?
Oh, it's actually very simple. Like, really, just look at here. Maybe you can say catalyst. It may work, yes. But I'm not good with definitions most of the time. I have a problem with definitions, and I'm trying not to use them as much as I can. So the pointer is more like, you know what I mean? Yeah,
it's like,
there's something here.
It's like, think about this thing that you haven't thought about before.
Yes.
This is interesting. Let's look at this.
Yes. And so I actually believe in people and how their perspective. I mean, people can feel stuff, like they can feel your energy and they can feel what you're trying to do, even though they're very much against you and they're very much in parallel with you. They're not thinking the way that you are, but I think they can feel beneath that. So I take it to their judgment, let's say, because I can't do anything else that other than that. I mean, yeah.
So you say, look at this because it's interesting, it's new, it's important. You haven't looked at it before.
Yes.
Got it. And what have been the subjects of your documentaries?
Oh, Okay. Actually, I'm quite new at documentaries and film, but I would love to explain this. I get very excited when I talk about this. It's called Circus of Affects. Affects in the sense that Spinoza used it, affectus, and I really like philosophy as well, and especially Spinoza. He really makes my juice go in, let's say. So it's about body and circus relations, but through the perspective of affects, like how Spinoza says it, like it gets your vital source up and down, and in which ways? Because I thought about this idea because I always thought, like, why do I keep spending time? And at that times I was spending money as well on it because I was learning. Now thank God, I'm earning money from that too. So that's good. So I was thinking, like, what can I do with this? Why do I do this? I was thinking. So there was this writing of me. I wrote something. I tried to find out the reasons why I'm doing it, and then this idea of documentary came up, and I wanted to make it more collective, and the people that I was working with in a circus kind of stuff. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Mm-hmm. If you ever feel like it, I have a lot of video clips of climate activists on my YouTube channel, and you could do a compilation of those. It would be a fun documentary.
Oh, of course.
And then you could add to it what you've done.
Sure. After I finish this one, because it's getting like, it's not like this. After I do that, of course, I would love to check them out.
Okay. All right. And then how did you get involved with Extinction Rebellion?
Okay. How did I? Before that, actually, I was never been in a group, like, other than the solidarity groups. For example, in the university, I was with Women Solidarity Club. I was with them. I was going, like, to actions, protests with them, but other than that, I was very suspicious about these collectives and these groups. But with Extinction Rebellion, actually, John Tombil, he's a journalist and also a radio. What do you call them? Radio speakers?
Disc jockey, moderator.
Yeah, he works in radio, but it's the most beloved radio in Istanbul, Turkey, Açık Radio. I was hearing from them actually about this climate crisis stuff, and I know John before, so I was through social media. I was posting some stuff, and he said, "We are making this group like Extinction Rebellion Turkey. Would you like to join?" And I said, "Let me check out at first, because let me check out." And I searched Roger Hallam and this organization, what are they trying to do and stuff. And so I liked the way how they try to act. That was not different than what I was trying to do. I think they were trying to find and clever ways, or sometimes they were trying to get fun at the same time, whatever they do. But they were I think trying to make new rooms for the same stuff, it's clever. I find it clever and intelligent. So I always have room for those kind of people. So I searched more, and I learned that they have this horizontal hierarchy, not there's this I was going to say nationalistic, sorry, not this typical hierarchical stuff. So I really like that they have room for everyone. And what can you do? It depends on you and the working groups and stuff. So we were just few people at first, and I met them, and I really loved them because they were really nice people. Not like this in Turkey. I think there is this problem of left wing. I always thought about this. They're really much. At some point, I even go and say bullying, like you have to, not bullying, of course. There are so many people that I love in them, but what I mean is more like they insist on some stuff, and their energy doesn't go well with mine, let's say. So I need space to work. I need what I want to do. For example, we made this fashion action to boycott fast fashion with XR, Extinction Rebellion.
To boycott what? I'm sorry.
We made a fashion action.
Oh, with fashion, clothes.
Yes, clothes, yes. In order to boycott fast fashion. Because, yeah. And so we made our clothes by ourselves, and we changed them, or we wore the things that we take from our mothers and stuff. I mean, we renewed them, and we made kind of fun of we made our own podium stage, and so it was very much fun. We were making fun at the same time with the the stages and walks and stuff, because we wanted to show that you can do it with your own clothes when you try to do something else.
I think I read that fashion is responsible for something, I don't know if you remember, it's 10% or 20% of the pollution on the planet. So it's like almost like cattle or something.
Yes, I don't remember the exact numbers, but yes, it's pretty much responsible for a huge number of that. And all of the leftovers they can't sell. They just go to wastelands, or they just, at most they burn them, and so it's the carbon emission, let's say. And it's in any way it's not good for the environment at all. So what I was gonna say is I wore my pink like this furry my fur from my mom, but it's not real fur, of course. But it was from it was my mom's, and I did something on it, and it was pink and stuff. And so it was on Marxist.org on their side. And I said, if Extinction Rebellion put someone with a pink fur on Marxist.org, we did something good.
That's great.
Yeah, that was what I mean.
Got it.
We have room for colors than every other approach.
Mm-hmm. So Extinction Rebellion just started like November last year, 2019 in England. Is that right? I mean, it's really recent.
Yes, it's really recent.
And but it got hundreds of thousands of followers really fast. How did that happen?
I think, in my opinion, I'm not quite sure. It's just speculation, of course. It's just my thinking, but there are so many people in between. Like I was never a liberal person. Being liberal, not saying this being liberal is bad kind of sense, but just there were so many people that didn't want to go with the classical approach to streets are good. Streets are, of course, we like to protest, but this classical, it has been like you're going out the street and you have this writing in your hands and you say no something. These have been used in like centuries. I mean, we need something different. And so I think Extinction Rebellion gave people this with I'm not going to use the word hope, but something different, let's say, something entertaining. Actually, in our neoliberal world, I think people need that kind of energy and doing something different, yeah. we need that, I think.
And how did it get from London to Istanbul, Extinction Rebellion?
I think in the way how they went to all over the world. It just through social media is of course very important, but I think in Turkey, in the sense of Turkey, Açık Radio was the one of the main means, let's say, to take it over there to here, I think.
Okay.
Because most of the people are gathered around Açık Radio on this. They had a huge role.
So what are other examples of tactics besides the recycled fashion show? What else have they done besides walk in the streets with signs?
Okay, for example, I can tell you what I've done. As I said, I'm an aerial acrobat. And we had this, by the way, we called out all the climate activists, and not just climate, but also environmental activists and stuff. We gathered them under the name called Zero Future. And so, first of all, we merged the climate movement. I think it was one of the most important things. And now we're all working together in many senses. Of course, we are working by ourselves, but at the same time, under the name of Zero Future, we have other things going on. And under this, as Extinction Rebellion, we made this performance. I have made a performance. I said, put me on a tree, hang me from a tree. So they hanged me from a tree. Yes. And what I did was, it was the week of fossil fuels, and we were trying to raise awareness. In that week, we were trying to raise awareness for fossil fuel use. So I said, okay, I climbed up to the silks. It was falling down from the tree. So I climbed on it, and then I sit and started to cover up myself with coil. I was wearing something white, and so the coil was all around me. I did this everywhere. And then at the end of my performance, I hanged myself from my ankles and just fell down from the, not fell down, but hung myself from my ankles on the silks. So it was not everyone understood what we did, but they saw something and it was interesting, and they came and asked what we were doing. And there were my friends underneath me. They were holding signs that was saying carbon is killing us in the future. I mean, we stop buried under let it be under the soil and kind of stuff. So we are, of course, using the signs and stuff. Of course we are using. We're not against them, and we are not against the streets. Of course we have to be on the streets. But this kind of stuff is exactly what I mean, actually.
So the coil, was it metal to represent being entrapped and imprisoned by the environment problems?
No. It was because of the fossil fuels. It's like it was dust kind of coil, dust, and so it just makes you black. Your white clothes, it turns your white clothes to black, and your face, you become like a, let's say, a mine worker. You seem like a mine worker. So it actually made me dirty, and like, how can I say? Maybe I can send you the pictures and the video of that. Wonderful. If you like to.
Wonderful.
Okay.
Wonderful. What other groups are part of Zero Future? Is it Fridays for Future, Extinction Rebellion? Who else is in the coalition?
There are many. Actually, the last one to join was even Greenpeace. Even they joined us. So there is Anticapitalists. the group called Anticapitalists and Buğday Derneği. 350.org.
Yeah.
They are with us, and there are many local groups and Parents for Future as well. And I can't remember now because I don't know some of the names in English. That's why. For example, there's Buğday Derneği, as I said, or Yeşil Düşünce Derneği, Green Thinking group, and they're also political group, by the way. That's pretty much it. But we are like 10 people, and if you want, I can send you the names of I can send you the list of this as well. But let me just take notes of this.
And of the 10 kind of core people, what percent are female?
Many female, many. List of the groups. And what did I say? My video. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm done. Yes.
Percent female.
I can't give you percent. Actually, that was why I asked you if this is the data. I'm not sure. I think there are many females, but it feels like it's equal. I wouldn't say like there's this female dominance. I can't say that. But I wouldn't say the males are prominent. No, they are. It's equal or female basis, female dominant.
So for the coalition group, do you mostly organize on social media or do you meet face to face on a regular basis?
Yes, I'm not with them anymore. We made a lot of things, by the way, with them, because I don't have time for both Zero Future and Extinction Rebellion. I can't make it work. On the 20th of September, we made this huge concert, and also we walked, of course, for the global strike. But we did this it was our first big event with this Zero Future. By the way, the Zero Future comes from, it's either zero carbon or zero future. It's coming from this wordplay. And so we made huge concerts, and there was this, my performance, for example, was under the Zero Future campaign. We make campaigns. Of course, social media is important. We use it a lot. But at the same time, we always get, for example, one time in a week, we meet face to face. And so, what did you ask before that? I forgot sometimes.
I asked about percent female, but I asked if you meet face to face. And when you meet, you emphasize horizontal organizing. So does that mean you rotate who facilitates the meeting? What's horizontal about it?
Okay, for Extinction Rebellion, I'm not going to talk about Zero Future because it's like in Extinction Rebellion, there are coordinates of working groups. Like there are working groups, for example, there's protest group, or action is better word, I think. Yeah. Or for example, we have this regenerative culture, this regenerative group, which is another topic. I will, if you want, I can go into that later, so that I don't distract it anymore. So, for example, other than that, we have this education group, or they do talks and keeping us with the literature, for example. So there are these different groups, and you can choose to go which one or ones you want to get in, and then you work with them. You come face to face with them, and also each group has two coordinators, one internal and one for the to talk to other coordinators for the other groups. So yeah, so this makes it more like, this is what I mean, like horizontal. It's not there is this one person at top. No, it really works in the sense that we make our decisions together, and these coordinators they have this passing the information property, let's say.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And if, for example, other group, sorry, what?
I was going to ask what group you're most active in.
Actually, I'm kind of going to that whatever needs. I'm in the protest group, of course, but I'm not actively. It depends. It's most like project based for me. For example, if I don't want to be in a certain protest, I'm not going there. If I don't believe in it, I have this chance of not doing it. It happened before in the funeral. For example, we made a funeral for the dead species, but I think it's a nice idea. But in Turkey, I mean, I find it kind of, our funeral ceremonies are not like in England or something. I mean, in England they've done this as well, in Britain. But for example, I said I'm not into that. I don't want to do a funeral because I don't think it goes well with our culture, and so I don't want to be in it. So I didn't. So that's what I'm trying to say. It's project based. I help, for example, much in this fashion action part, and how can I say? We take responsibility by ourselves. You say, I will do this, I will do that, and you take your responsibility. No one gives you that. I think this is another way to keep us together, so that everyone goes with their own limit and their own agenda. I think it's very important.
In terms of groups, what I find is sometimes there are people who say they will do something, but they don't. Mm-hmm. And sometimes there are people who really like to talk, and they want to be heard, and it takes up too much time. They're not interested in taking action; they're interested in being heard. So I wondered if that's an issue. And a third one is ideological purity. Like now, there's kind of a shame around flying, because Greta Thunberg made it like a bad thing to fly. So is that a problem of people not being responsible, people talking too much, ideological purity?
Okay. If I forget to mention one of them, please remind me. Okay. So, of course, there are people, sometimes they get carried away when they're talking, and we have these signs, by the way. So they're neutral signs. So it's not depending on your tone to, hey, you're talking too much. You don't say that, but maybe we do this. And the person knows that, okay, I need a break. Or when someone's talking, if others liked it, we do this. And if the idea is not, you do this, no, it's not a good idea. And so you don't disrupt them at the same time. So we have these kind of sign languages, let's say. I really like it. It works. And sometimes it doesn't, of course. And there are sometimes people, of course, we talk, but in action, sometimes they don't do, sometimes they can't do, because we have so many things to do, really. And we don't take this personal, let's say, or sometimes even I can't do some of the stuff because there are so many things getting in the way. So one of the best things about, I think, Extinction Rebellion, we are very against blaming and shaming. We don't do that with each other, within each other, or with others. We are not saying that you're using this plastic bag, you're using this plastic bottle, because we know that it takes more than that plastic bottle. And the people, for example, I may be wrong about the numbers. I don't think I am, but okay. 70% of the carbon emissions, 71% as far as I remember, is because of the top 100 companies. It's because of them, the 70% of the carbon emissions in the world. It's crazy. So there is this systematic problem. It's a bigger problem than you are using a bottle. And it's not making people come together. If you say, you do this, because all of us are in this system. And even though you say, like, you do this, there's probably many things that I do when I'm blaming someone else, because there's no escape from the system. We are all in it. So it's better to do whatever we can do and make people get involved, make their attract their attention and want them to come to us. And it works, I think, because we are growing even in Turkey, we are growing, I think, so fast. But of course, there are some people who sometimes have to take responsibility much more than others do, because there are sometimes people can't do, and the workload might tire some of the people who take much responsibility. So this burnout stuff, it happens, of course, in with us as well. So we have this regenerative culture stuff. So I can come to that. Yeah. I think it's really nice and great, because, for example, after very long or big protests or actions, let's say, we get very tired. And, for example, we have this meditation day after there is this person who invited us to make meditation with him, and so we did that. I couldn't go that, but my friends did, and they were like, some of them slept, some of them started to cry, and some of them started to laugh. Yeah, so we're trying to, if we see that someone's getting burnout, someone's having this burnout feeling, we try to say, okay, you're stopping here, and we will do the rest. And again, one of the best things about, I think, for example, when there's this custody stuff happens, it just happened one time. This regenerative culture group go and make them like this goes with the blankets and chocolates and say, we love you and you're not alone, even though you're under custody or something. So we wait for each other. So I think.
You mean under custody by the police?
Yes, after they released, you go and, with the blankets and stuff, with the chocolates, but we didn't experience that, but we are now ready for that. If someone or some groups have taken under custody, you are going with chocolates and stuff, because people really feel, we learned this from experience. At first time, no one went there. We didn't understand what happened, and the people who went there, they said, please, let's do something like this next time, because you feel alone in there, even though it's not harsh. So we learned this and try to implement this. So that's what regenerative culture means. We try to love each other, let's say. It's important.
Got it. How do you keep in touch with Extinction Rebellion in England? Because you said that you've done some of similar things, like the funeral or the no shame or blame. How do you keep that communication?
Actually, Extinction Rebellion have this global coordinator stuff system. I'm not in them, but they have this. We have access to their discussions. They're actually globally connected through online. But sometimes there are certain people. Another good way of Extinction Rebellion, again, in anywhere in the world, if there is an Extinction Rebellion group, and you are one of them, when you go that country, when you say, hey, I want to come to your meeting, they're all welcoming you. And there were some guests in our meetings as well. For example, from UK. They came and they find you and they come to your meeting and you talk to each other face to face. It's very important, I think. It's not just online, this connection. But as I said, we have this connection through online. We can learn and discuss stuff with UK or the other parts of the world through coordinators.
In Extinction Rebellion, from what you know in Turkey and UK, what's the age breakdown roughly? Is it mostly people under 30 or not?
In Turkey, I'm not quite sure about UK because they have their youth groups as well. They have many groups. But in Turkey, we only have Fridays for Future as the youngsters, and Extinction Rebellion group is more like, it starts with 20 to 35, maybe, let's say, but we have not much of older people yet. We have, but not, it's less, let's say. It's right. 20 to 35, I would say.
Right. What do you think explains why this generation is, I think it's unique in having people who are 12 start environmental movements like Lily in the Netherlands or that kind of thing. I never heard of before this generation of people so young being involved. And a lot of climate activists are teenagers. I mean, Greta started when she was 15. What do you think there is about this generation that enables them to be so strong as leaders?
Oh, I think it's a very hard question. I could only speculate about this. I'm not quite sure. But I think there's this thing. Again, social media is an important way to approach the world. I think they are seeing what's going on. And also this climate stuff is, I think that's really about their future, our future. And not just social media, but particularly this topic, this climate crisis stuff, it affects your future. It's not happening only now, but it's going to get worse and worse. So, and as we can see, not politicians or older people not doing anything about this. Let's not say anything, but not enough. So they have to say, someone has to say something. And I think children are more like, I'm not going to say children. By the way, I was before I was kind of suspicious about this Fridays for Future movement, even though I've learned this climate action, and Greta really light a fire in me as well. I remember watching her TED talk, and I remember saying she's really, really right. I mean, but what I was gonna say before that about children, I was very not distant, but cautious about this children stuff, because I was not quite sure of their agency. I mean, would their parents, how much their parents were effective on them, or I was, like, okay, it's good. I was, by the way, there in even their first protest. I went there, but I just documented it. Just, I was distant. But then I met to Selin and Atlas. You talked to Selin. Yes, they're just unbelievable. They changed my way of looking at young people. They're really smart. When you talk to them, it's crazy. I was very impressed by them. They, I think, talk better than I do. They know what they do. So, not, of course, all of them are like that. not everyone has to be like that in my age as well. Everyone, all of us are different. But what I mean is, they have agency. I saw that. They have their own way of thinking, of course, but I am not impressed, but affected by other people as well. I mean, ideologies, all of us are affected by other people. So why do we think that children cannot think their own? So I'm always still cautious about this whole movement, but I'm very impressed by them. I love what they do.
Right, you have to be impressed. You know what I'm thinking is that the teenage girls that I've talked to said the boys aren't as involved because they don't think it's cool. And I wonder if it changes in your 20s and early 30s, the men no longer have to prove they're cool so they can be involved in climate change.
Okay, I think it goes for both sexes, or all sexes, let's say. Yeah, I think being cool, this is, by the way, one of my missions inside. One of the missions, let's say. Making this stuff cool. Making activism cool. Because it really prevents not just boys, but the women, the women and men. It goes for both of them, let's say. Yeah, so we are trying to make, that's one of the reasons, again, why we are trying to make this thing much fun. And so that when people come, they say, these people are good to hang out with. I mean, because it matters. Who you're hanging out with, it matters. Because you're a group and you're spending time, of course. You have to keep your, mood up. You have to heal each other. That's a group, how it should be. So I think we're making it work, yeah. It's getting cool. It's one of the reasons, again, people are coming, I think.
Mm-hmm. What she told me is Fridays for Future around the world is mostly female. So I think I'm really thinking about that teenagers are different than older people in terms of the boys don't have to prove as hard that they're cool as they get older.
I don't know about this, because my experience was more complex than I can just tell something like this. So I would prefer not to say anything about this.
Okay. But let me ask you this. When you were in high school, what was cool for boys? Were they athletes or brand label clothes, or how did you know that a boy was cool in high school?
If they have band, they're always cool in any age. Just, it was a joke, but it has truth in it, of course. Boys with bands.
Oh yeah.
And girls as well. They're always cool, especially in high school. Like I told you, my high school was Anatolian government school, so it changes a lot with the private schools. I had many friends in private schools, so I can make a contrast between them. Compare them. In government school, and also athletes are always cool, I can say, because they have this charm. I don't know. But if we are to talk about boys, I would say music and sports. And of course, it was not cool to go be a protester. I could easily tell you that.
For both boys and girls.
Yeah. It was not so. I mean, you had to come from a family who values this stuff, let me say, and it's not the majority. They were quite, little group,
Yeah.
I remember.
The climate change involves big money. And so there's tremendous amount of resistance, and a lot of money has gone into denying climate change.
Mm-hmm.
Leaders around the world, like in Australia and the US, have denied that it's reality. I just read that there's Republicans proposed a bill that in doing environmental reports for the future, you couldn't include climate change. So my question is, how do you deal with the resistance and denial to this number one problem that we face, and personal attacks as well?
Yes. It's always hard. It's first of all, it's always hard because people, especially on social media, people can be really mean. Like you're not a person. They can really be mean. But with my experience, I decided to do, it always hurts you what they say, because they can, as I said, like, they can be really mean, but it also, when you try to respond them, if you don't have to, but because you get angry, you feel something and you want to express your feelings, but it consumes your energy, and it takes you out of your agenda, and so I learned that if it's not a must, I don't respond them. Actually, that's how as Extinction Rebellion, it's our strategy as well, because we have to do so many things that will build up something. We have an agenda, but then you're trying to keep up with this. Sometimes they're talking so much nonsense. I mean, there's no way you can respond that. By the way, this is my answer to your question, but I would like to make a note about this scientific productions against it or in favor of it. With sociology, I learned that nothing is, especially science, is not that pure, objective, or it's not an absolute truth. It's never like that. So, of course, we are believing in something, and the science it depends how you ask the questions, it's how can I say, it's on some belief system. It builds up itself on certain people's belief systems, because people are the ones who are creating science and asking the questions. So of course there will always be this side, that side, other sides, all sides. I can respect that. But in my belief, when I look at what's going on, that's what I choose to believe, because we have so many things left to lose if we don't do this. But we wouldn't lose anything if we would go more eco-loving, eco-friendly ways of living. This would not hurt anyone. But the other one, results it's unbelievable.
Does the Turkish government acknowledge the climate crisis?
Not the government, but we are demanding climate emergency from local like mayors and stuff. So not majority, but there are some local people or groups or government parts. They say we are going to declare a climate emergency, but it's not at all. I mean, Turkey has, for example, signed up the Paris Agreement, but we are the only country that we are not doing it. We say we are not going to do it because they are more the reason of this stuff more than Turkey. So they say, yeah, look at them before.
Mm-hmm. I understand that. So are you optimistic or pessimistic when you think about climate change?
I wouldn't say optimism or pessimism would work. There's a person called Brian Masumi. I found him when I was doing this affect research. He's using Spinoza's affect theory in politics. And he was saying something like this. We all say the hope is... He thinks hope is something else, like being an optimistic person or just wanting to everything to be great, gorgeous, perfect. It's just utopian thinking. And also pessimism is just destructive. So what he sees as hope goes with the movement. Like it's intrinsic. The movement, the action is intrinsic to hope.
Yeah.
I'm hopeful, let's say. I don't care about the result. I mean, this is what I feel like I have to do. It's like a moral duty for me, for myself, for this, because I'm united with this world and I really don't want it to get fired up like in Australia right now. It's just when I see a forest, I witnessed a forest fire, and it's not like what you're seeing on social media. You can feel like these animals or all kind of ecologies. You can feel they're dying and you suffer. So I don't think that there's another thing I can do. It's not a choice for me. I'm hoping it's gonna get better because we are doing something, but my way of hoping is not to say that everything's gonna be all right. We are just doing something, and that's what it matters for me for now.
Mm-hmm. In Hinduism, they say you do your dharma, you do your duty, but without attachment to results.
Definitely, yes.
So that's
yes.
Turkey is an Islamic country. Has the Quran influenced your thinking in any ways?
Quran? I'm not kind. Welcome, my cat is here.
Good.
She can just pass by, so don't be shy.
Okay. I want to see her.
Come, you can come. No, she's not coming.
Quran.
Oh, yeah, Quran. Of course, I'm not a religious person. I mean, I don't believe in books, let's say, but I learn from them. So I can say it's the culture. It has the culture side of that too, by the way. And I was born in this culture, so of course I'm affected by it. I know, and my parents are from really different sides of Turkey. Like they were born in Istanbul as well, but their families are. One of them is more. My mom is more in the eastern part, her family, and this many children and many people in the family, big families. And my father is it's more eastern, let's say, and they have this not eastern, western part of the Turkey, and they have this little family, and their culture is different. So I saw both of them. And we lived in this harmony. It was different, but we were. So what I mean is, I'm sorry if I'm talking too much when I explain something. I've never been a little talk person.
No, it's good. It's interesting. It's all good. It's great.
Okay. So about my family, so I know that there are different cultures here, and we are in between, let's say. And I was in an American school in university. It's a Turkish university, Koç University, but for example, we learn everything in English and stuff. So, and its system is like in America. And I know many things about American social, stuff. And so what I mean is, but at the same time, I live in this religious country, but I see Western. I have friends in Europe, and it's also mixed. Again, I'm saying like it's not also different. We are seeing and we are affected by it. So to go back to your question again, but I forgot what I was gonna say.
Well, it seems what you said is that it's not just Quran, it's a mixture of kind of global influences that shape people nowadays.
Yes. But of course, as I said, it was a beautiful summary of what I was trying to say. But of course, I'm affected by it because it's a religious country, really, and you have to be aware what you're doing, like saying, even though we have these bubbles of life. I'm one of those people, but there are so many people who live so many different, like much more different conditions than I do in terms of education and stuff.
Did you see the film Mustang?
Mustang, it's a Turkish film, but I didn't see it. My friend, by the way, plays in it, but I couldn't see it. Yeah.
Oh, well, I think it's really a brilliant portrayal of traditional life in the countryside. You would love it. It's a powerful film. Where do you see yourself 5 years from now? You personally.
I think it would be unrealistic to answer that because when I think when I think about last year, I wouldn't think that I would be here. Or before that, I had no idea. I was an engineering student, for example, a couple of years ago, and I'm a different person now. I mean, not different, but And so, what I do to this question is maybe I can tell you that I open my heart and my mind to the future, both of them, and we'll see. Mm-hmm. I'm really excited to see it, but my heart and my mind is open to what's going to come.
Is your sister in university?
She's graduated. She's now an intern lawyer.
Like her papa.
Yeah. And I hate lawyers, by the way.
Why?
I hate law. I don't know. I have, a long answer for this. I think
they can do really... Yeah. There's lawyers... There's lawyers who fight for the poor people and civil rights. So, there's two different kinds of lawyers, right?
Yeah, there are so many different kinds of lawyers. It's not the lawyers themselves. It's the law. Because I can't believe in it in some sense. Because I was in a court once for my teachers in the university because they were expelled like this. Do you know about this stuff in Turkey that happened under the olağanüstü, exceptional? What was it in English? For 2 years in Turkey, there was this state of what was that?
It was after the coup.
Just a sec.
It was after the coup attempt, and then Erdogan kicked out all kinds of professors and military and civil servants.
Yes.
Yeah, I know about that.
State of exception. Under the stairs. Evet. And so my teachers, my professors, who changed my life, my way of seeing life, because they wanted to they signed some paper that was demanding peace. They didn't expel, but they were sentenced and stuff. So we were in the court to support them. So what I saw was words against words on the same particular law. And I saw that it's about who has the power. It's really about that. Law is about
and the
that.
Money. And the money. And the money.
And the money, of course. Yeah.
Because with the money you can get a good lawyer.
Yes. But even being a good lawyer sometimes, it's not enough, because when the government, what they were saying, if you just heard them, you would be crazy, like, what? What I was seeing is words in the air, and who has the power? Well, which is the government, of course, all the time. So they won. So I'm not quite believing in laws, let's say.
Were you influenced by the Gezi Park
Yes.
uprising? Were you in the park?
Huh?
Were you there?
Yes, I was.
I was when I visited Turkey. I took video of the whole Gezi Park and Taksim Square.
Yeah. So you were during Gezi protest?
No. I was there a few years later. But I had a friend who was in the protest who took me around. It's on my YouTube channel.
I'm gonna check it out for sure.
Yeah. But
now there are so many policemen
is
around the Gezi Park.
There's put what?
Actually, Gezi Park now for years it's closed with. It's open to people, but open to public, but it's surrounded with policemen because they don't want us to rise again again. They don't want it to happen. So.
But at least he's not putting in the big department store or whatever. He wanted to fill it all in with buildings, right? So
yeah.
At least that hasn't happened.
Yes, we won. At that little fight, we won. Yeah. I was 18 actually, and it was the first time I've ever get into something like this because it was so unfair. You couldn't stop at your home. I watched how the policemen burned their tents, and we were like, we are going there. There's no other way. So it happened like that. I think when really something bad happened, there are so many people that cannot do but just to do something about it. You can't pull yourself in. You have to do something. And climate crisis is, I think, one of those topics.
Right.
Now.
Yeah, I agree. Is there anything else that you would like to add that we haven't talked about in terms of strategies or goals or whatever?
Let me think. I don't think so, but maybe I could say, maybe I can underline some point. I think I mentioned this about the acting individual and also acting within groups for example, Extinction Rebellion, but it could be other groups as well. I want to underline the importance of that because as individuals, I wasn't doing anything, I think. Of course, you touch certain people with your own actions. It matters. I would never go easy on it. It matters what you do individually. But with groups, you can really feel the power and the support. So I think it's important.
Right. Yeah, I think it's like a battle, and a soldier doesn't go into battle, I'm in the front. You have to have your troops with you and a strategy because it is a battle. Okay, I'm turning this